Geof Hands of Steel Neal taking on the future Machado Garry this weekend at UFC 298 in Anaheim. I'm pumped. I hope you're pumped. Let's get into it. Geof Neal, he's the shorter fighter. However, he does have the reach advantage. He's listed at 5'11" with a 75-inch reach. Machado Garry is listed at 6'3" with the 74-inch reach. I don't know if he's actually 6'3". I don't know if Geof Neal's actually 5'11". UFC heights, we don't really know. They could be much shorter. I would not say they're taller, but they're probably a little bit shorter than their listed heights. Anyway, that doesn't even matter. Geof Neal, great boxing. He's got, I would say, some of the nastiest inside boxing. He's got some nasty hooks. The uppercuts that he throws, brutal, 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 brutal. We know he can do some damage. We know what he did to Vicente Luque. We've seen the destruction this man can wreak on people. Even against his fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov, he was landing bombs in that fight. I remember in the first round, he landed a pretty nasty head kick. Shavkat's got one hell of a chin because Geof Neal has a lot of power. He also has really good takedown defense, and he's got good grappling against the cage, good wrestling against the cage, wrestling defense against the cage, excuse me. And just a really strong, powerful dude. Got really big legs, pretty thick torso, just a hard guy to grapple with. Machado Garry is very slick, rangy. You know, I would say he likes to float, kind of pick at you, get you frustrated, or get you discouraged, kind of get you backing up, and that's when he strikes. Not a super powerful guy. I wouldn't say he has pillow hands, but with him, it's more of a precision thing. You know, he doesn't really have like freak genetic power necessarily, but he's good at creating angles. He's good at managing distance, and he's good at catching guys on the chin, catching guys in the area where it hurts. Got decent grappling defense himself, pretty good cage wrestling, cage grappling defense as well. In his fight against Neil Magny, he showed to have pretty good defense. However, he did absolutely destroy Neil Magny's legs, so Neil Magny probably wasn't able to grapple nearly as well as he normally would be able to. But, you know, to Ian's credit, he did very well and didn't get submitted, didn't get taken down, didn't get beat up. So kudos to him, because, I mean, we just see what Neil Magny did in his last fight. So the guy still has it. If you're not good, if you can't hurt him, you can't keep him off of you, he can still get you. The issue with both of these fighters, and I'll start with Geof Neal. Geof Neal has, at least his record would indicate, struggled with taller, rangier fighters. He's got a loss, and this is earlier in his career. He's got a loss against Kevin Holland, Wonderboy Thompson, you know, Shavkat Rakhmonov. These are taller guys. Neil Magny. These are taller, lengthier guys. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it seems that seems to be the type of fighter that he struggles with the most. He's good against grapplers and good against other fighters around his height that like to brawl or that like to scrap. But against the taller guys that are a little lengthier, he seems to have a little bit of trouble. And Ian Garry is a taller, lengthier guy. He's also a very good striker. I would say he's a much better striker than Kevin Holland. I don't think he's as good a striker as Stephen Thompson, but he's probably a better striker than Shavkat Rakhmonov. But Shavkat has really good grappling, and I think the grappling probably had a lot to do with Geof Neal's, you know, not that his striking was lacking, but he probably would have had better exchanges and better success with his striking if he wasn't having to constantly defend grappling exchanges against Shavkat Rakhmonov. But the issue with Ian Garry is that he's been dealing with a lot of public scrutiny and backlash for some of his actions and for some of his personal life. And I don't want to get into that too much, but I will say that I think that a lot of the scrutiny is unfair towards Ian Garry. I don't like the stuff that he did to Neil Magny, making Neil Magny out to be like he was a child abuser. I don't really agree with that. I don't like that. That I found was pretty bad taste, and I feel like that kind of got the ball rolling for a lot of the negative public reception and some negative media reception for Ian Garry. A lot of people are saying it brought interest to the fight, but I think you don't have to be a villain to bring interest or to bring shock value or, you know, newer fans to the sport. I don't think you have to be a bad guy. You can just make bold statements. You can have an eccentric character, a very loud, you know, loud personality. And I don't really like it when people go after people, especially when it's fabricated stories like in Neil Magny's case where he's made out to be a child abuser. And we all know he's not a child abuser. He just said something that was like, I'll beat you like I beat my son or something like that. You know, whatever. I don't. Anyway, we're gonna sidestep that. I would say the fight probably starts pretty slowish. I don't think Ian Garry's going to want to engage with Geof Neal too much because he does have a lot of power and he is a good striker and he can counter and catch Ian Garry. Ian Garry's been caught before. I don't think he has like a superb chin, but I think he's got a decent chin. But Geof Neal can definitely crack that chin. I think the fight will probably start off slow in the first round, but I think I see Geof Neal really pushing the pace first. I see him trying to get to Ian Garry, trying to show Ian Garry that, you know, he's the more experienced guy in the UFC. He's a dangerous man. He's not just some stepping stone to Ian Garry. And I could really see him pushing the pace, getting some good strikes off, getting some good hooks. You know, Ian Garry's probably going to throw a lot of leg kicks, probably throw some teeps, probably mix it up with some head kicks. You know, he's gonna throw a couple straights out there. He's gonna try to frustrate Geof Neal, pick at him a little bit. And I think over time, Geof Neal's gonna start to slow down. And I also think that Ian Garry is gonna employ a lot of leg kicks, just like he did against Neil Magny, because he's gonna wanna slow down the constant pressure from Geof Neal that I think Geof Neal's gonna put on him. I think Geof Neal's gonna put some real pressure on Ian Garry. And as the fight progresses, I just see, and I hate to say it because I've been thinking Geof Neal, I would probably favor Geof Neal for this fight all day, but after watching video on both fighters, I'm gonna have to go with Ian Garry. I think as the fight goes on, he's gonna keep picking at Geof Neal. I mean, Geof Neal has been outstruck before by people. It's not like it can't happen. And Ian Garry is the prototypical fighter that Geof Neal struggles with. And I think round 2, round 3, I think they're just going to be not landslide rounds, but they're going to be clear, decisive rounds in favor of Ian Garry due to his striking, due to him being the more elusive fighter, being the more proficient fighter, also having the extra advantage of being taller. I know that Geof Neal has the reach advantage, but Ian Garry's he's a longer, taller guy. You know, he's gonna be the one with the range. And I think that's really going to be the deciding factor, is just the dimensions, really. The dimensions and the styles, because Ian Garry is not the type of fighter to just stand in the pocket and try to fight with Geof Neal either. So I think it'll probably be a 30-27 or maybe a 29-28 in favor of Ian Garry. But that's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you liked this video, you like listening to me talk, maybe you can subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and I will talk to you guys later.